Now we have one final speaker before the intermission, so I think I led you astray at the start. It's Emmanuel, and he was born in Wellington but grew up here in the Manawatū, so refers to himself as a river kid. He's a freelance graphic designer, 3D spatial designer, and just on the side, he's a singer-songwriter. So welcome to the stage, Emmanuel.
Wow, there's a lot of you. Thank you for that nice introduction. Can you hear me? Is that okay? Good. So my story begins with my doctor telling me that the injuries that he can see in me, he's seen less injuries on dead people. And I was lucky to be alive. So my son had a 21st birthday, and it was a good party. There was lots of everything, lots of people, lots of food and alcohol, and I had too much of all of it, and towards the end of the night I ended up asleep on the couch, which is fine. I was quite happy there. When I woke up, I was on my hands and knees and I was in a pool of blood, and next to me was my daughter. She had her hand on my shoulder, and I said, "What's happened to me?" And I flaked out, and I next remember being put into an ambulance. My son was helping me into the ambulance, and then I flaked out again, and finally woke up in the hospital in A&E, and they were doing their checks that they do. They push you and prod you and X-ray you, and while they were doing all this, I got the story of what actually happened that night. And some of the boys in the party were out in front there, like lads do. They go out there and have their cigarettes and talk the talk and do all the boy stuff. And another gang of boys walked down the road, and they had a discussion which ended in a fight. And the fight stormed into the house, and I was grabbed and dragged onto the floor and kicked several times. And so what they found was all my teeth were loose. See my teeth? They didn't grow back crooked. They grew a bit crooked. They were pretty good when I first started, but they're not so good now. And there was a brain bleed in the front and bruising in the back, and my face was cracked from the skeleton, the scalp from the eyes to the jaw. So it was a pretty severe beating. And those of you who have experienced or had friends or anything that are recovering from head injuries, it's quite a long, slow process. And there's a lot of sleep involved. I think I spent maybe about 3 months not doing much of anything. There's also a lot of psychological stuff that goes on. Like I spent the days on the couch with the blinds closed, quite happy to be in the dark because I didn't really want to go outside. I was kind of petrified of going outside because outside was no fun anymore. One day I woke up and I kind of looked out the window, and it was one of those sunny days like this morning, beautiful day, right? Wonderful day. You kind of looked out there, and I thought I may as well be dead if I'm going to be on this couch with the curtains closed. I might as well just be dead. What's the point of that? And so I kind of thought, I need to do something. So I got my courage up and I went outside to the letterbox, about 5 paces. And there were a lot of letters in there because I hadn't been working. This is 3 months, and so I was pretty deep in the hole. Things weren't that good. I lost some clients. I was freelancing at the time. I'm a freelancer now. So the walk, when I got to the letterbox, I thought I'd just leave that stuff there, and I decided to go down to the river. Like I said, I'm a river kid. I love the river. River's my touchstone. And I went down there to get some air and to look at the world because I hadn't seen it for a little while. I ended up in the city, in town, and into a music shop. And there was this guitar on the wall. It was an Ibanez exotic wood, they called it. It was made out of olive burl. So you know burl, that's like the knotty bit in the tree, and you get all these beautiful textures when they slice the wood. They get beautiful textures. Anyway, I fell in love with this guitar, but it was quite expensive, and it wasn't a sensible idea. You couldn't spend money on that. So if you didn't have any money, the money I was spending now was the banks, and I didn't really think it was appropriate to be. That was the sensible conversation I had with myself. in the shop at the time. So I went home and I didn't sleep. I kind of had fallen in love with this guitar, and it was just, it got stuck in me. So I made a deal with myself. I said, look, you can buy this guitar if you take the guitar. So I've been playing guitar since I was a kid, but I'm a closet guitarist. I play, by myself with friends, maybe once in a while, but I don't play in front of people. I never would do that. I'm terrified. And so I said, the deal was, if I buy the guitar, I have to take it and play in front of people, and I have to play the songs that I've written. So I've written some songs as well at this point. I didn't know if they were any good or not. I didn't know. I just played them. I never played them to anybody. So I went into town and I got the guitar. I said, I want to have that guitar, please. And he gave me a good deal with a case and some extra strings. And so I was pretty pleased about that, because I'm Greek, and Greeks like to make a dollar when they can. And so I took it home and I played it for a little while, about 100 hours. And that weekend there was a open mic at Murphy's. Do you know Murphy's down Main Street, just up the way here? They're having open mic, and so I walked in there. I was terrified, and I put my guitar down and I leaned on the bar leaner there. And this guy, Tama was his name, he was the host there. He came up and he goes, "Good to see you, bro. You come to play us some tunes?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's going, "Cool." And he said, "Don't worry, just like chill out for a bit. There's a lineup of guys. They're going to be doing their thing. So go and get yourself a drink. I'll give you a call when it's your turn to get up." I said, "Okay, that's okay. Fine, that's fine. Just don't call me, like I was really." And so I go over and I grab my beer and I'm coming back to the table, and he's up on the stage and he goes, welcome today. This is open mic night. I'm just going to introduce you to my new friend Emmanuel. He's going to play a couple of songs. Yeah, he tricked me, and it was a good trick, because I might have run away. The door wasn't very far, and I was terrified. So, and it's a bit like this introduction. Once you're introduced, you've got to get up because you promised you would, and so you've got to keep your promises. And so I got up and I played my tunes, and there were 3 of them, and they went really well. After I'd finished, I sat down to listen to the other guys, and a guy called Steve Colvert, he was a bass player there, and he played in most of the other bands, and he was a really accomplished bass player. And he came over and he said, "Hey man, I like that last song you did. It was called Judgment Day, bit of a philosophical song. And do you want to do some jamming?" And I was going, "Yeah, love to. Yes." And so that started the beginning of my story for music. And we've been playing together for a little while, and I'd written a few more songs, and we got up quite a repertoire. And around about that stage, the Manawatū River started getting a reputation for being a bad river. Did you remember that about 8, 9, 10 years ago, whenever that was? I'm not quite sure. I've lost track of time. I had my 60th birthday the other day, and I was just like, "Oh, forget about it. I'm not keeping track of time anymore. It's crazy." And the river, what they said, it was the dirtiest river in the world. And I used to swim in the river. I still do, but I never thought of it as being an enemy. It was always a friend. And I learned how to throw stones and build a hut and swim and to fish and all the stuff you do when you're a kid. That's my river. And so I was really upset. It inspired me to write this song called the Manawatū, which the regional council had just sent out invitations for submissions, and I decided that I was going to make a submission and go and talk to them about the river. So I turned up at the submission meeting, and with you've been, there's the chambers and they sort of around the table, and it's all very strict and whatever. And I took my guitar out and I played my tune, the Manawatū, and I played it really well, actually. It was a really good rendition, and it was absolute silence at the end of it, which is not a good sign when you finish doing a song. And then one of the councillors, a woman, she said, "That is the best submission I've heard in a very long time. Thank you very much. This has raised my awareness." And it was like a really, really good moment. Coincidentally, at that meeting, there was a guy who was just finishing up, and he was starting a new company called Catalyst. They were like an environmental advisory group. He came and he asked me, he said, "Look, I'm opening a company soon. Could you come play that song for my people?" And I said, "I'd love to." I got into this mode of saying yes to everything. I've been trying to say yes ever since, because I found that if you say yes, you do stuff. It's really good. So this is kind of the bulk of the story, actually. So I went and played at that opening, and it was really good fun. And then a woman came up to me and she says, I play the violin. Can I come play with you? I said, absolutely, yes. So she ran away and got a violin, and she came and we finished the night there playing some more tunes. And she joined me and Steve, and we made ourselves the Weird Prophets. And the Weird Prophets, thank you, I just said this line. The Weird Prophets, we've recorded twice. We've got 2 CDs, and you can hear them on Bandcamp if you're interested. Have a listen. They're called bandcamp.weirdprophets. So the thing about my story is like we get given a life, and it's pretty special. So mine, I came close to losing it in an event that I had no control over at all, and it didn't matter, and it can happen to any one of us at any time. So from this day forward, I said to myself, I'm going to say yes to everything. Everything that I can say yes to, I'm going to say yes to. So I want you all to think the same way, like every day is a special day. That's my story.